Good evening, Fernwood. My name's Neil. It's time to take a little time travel journey about 45 years to see the series Mary Hartman. Mary Hartman, that's a soap opera that did things maybe quite a lot different than anything else going on at the time, or maybe even since. We are heading up to the May 11th, 1976 episode. I double checked before we started taping, so I'm not incorrect like yesterday. Let's do a recap of things that we saw in yesterday's episode. It started with some shenanigans at the factory as Tom met the head of finance there. There's, of course, some back and forth, but the main fallout of this is that Tom will be facing off against George, his father in law, in regard to all of this craziness. Then we cut to the Hartman residence where Mary is setting up, maybe somewhat reluctantly, for Kathy's shower. She's putting up balloons and has a meeting with the Burperware lady that is trying to set stuff up. That's maybe quite an odd little exchange. Then we finally see into the home of the McCulloughs, who give us a little bit of background on what's going on with them and why they're here. Apparently, they've moved 6 times in the last 2 years, which I think is like every 4 months or so. I guess they have had some issues staying wherever they are. There seems to be some tension between Ed and Howard, as Ed is sort of the surly guy and Howard is sort of the sweet guy. And, they have very differing relationships with Betty, their mother. And finally, we get to the aftermath of the shower. We kind of skip past the actual events of the shower to the point where Dennis is coming to pick up Kathy. He is awkwardly left alone with Mary, who they have a bit of an exchange, and then Tom comes in. He tells Dennis very clearly that Dennis is not welcome in their home. I'm completely behind that. That was my recap of yesterday's episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. I believe it is time for us to start.
Mary Hartman! Mary Hartman!
Don't let this scene confuse you. You saw it yesterday, you're seeing it again today. Sometimes we repeat a scene for the people who missed something yesterday.
It's time to call it a day. I didn't know that you were coming until just before.
Well, a surprise wedding shower is supposed to surprise somebody.
It's the bride. It's supposed to surprise the bride.
Well, I'll clean up. Come on, Kathy, help me.
Oh, can't Mary help?
No, that is impolite after she gave her very own house for your lovely party. Come on.
All right.
I'll be right here.
Okay. I'll have to collapse this folding table.
I'll help.
No, it's okay.
Sure you do.
No, I really don't.
You're avoiding me. I mean, you want to be nice, but you won't let yourself that you are avoiding me.
No, I'm not avoiding you. I'm just having to be very nervous, that's all. I just happen to be very upset that I have to give a shower for someone who shouldn't be having a shower. That's all. And I find this whole thing, to tell you the truth, very humiliating. I find it a very humiliating experience, and Please. Please.
You look very kissable.
No, don't. Why are you doing that to her? Why are you leading her to think something's there if it isn't there? Why do you play games like that?
I explained it. You played games, and so I'm doing the same thing. Look, when you're ready to face the truth about your relationship with me, then I'll face the truth about my relationship with everybody else.
You make no sense at all.
Until then, I'll just keep my options open until Thursday.
Dennis, you're a very difficult person.
are you doing here for? Oh, how are you?
He's just came by here to pick up Kathy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're not welcome here, Falk. Excuse me.
Tom.
Mary? Hey, Mary, you've been in there 20 minutes. Mary, what are you doing in there? Come on out. I want to talk to you. Mary!
Sorry, I took some
Well, Mary, there are a lot of things I want to talk to you about. What the hell were you doing in there?
meditating.
Meditating? Oh, come on now. You're not in another one of those crazy things now, are you, huh?
Tom, meditation is not a crazy thing. Merv Griffin does it. A lot of very important people do it.
In the bathroom they do it?
Well, any place where you can find some peace and quiet. The thing is, though, I'm not exactly sure how to do it because I never went through the formal training, you know? I mean, I never learned. They're supposed to teach you some kind of a mantra, and you're supposed to give your teacher a white handkerchief, a rose, and a piece of fruit. I've been using Kleenex and Clean Beaches.
Yeah.
But, there's an article in Women's Day that...
Look, Mary, I don't want to talk about meditating right now, okay? What I want to talk about is what the hell was going on downstairs in our living room tonight. What the hell was going on?
You know what was going on?
I mean,
Shower for Kathy.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what was going on between you and Foley when you thought you were alone.
We were just talking.
It didn't sound like just talking to me. It sounded like you were trying to do something you didn't want anyone else to hear.
You weren't eavesdropping, were you, Tom?
Mary, look, I'm trying to find out what the hell is going on. What are you doing carrying on with your own sister's fiancé in our living room, damn it? What are you doing down there?
Carrying on? Carrying on? How can you talk to me like that?
How the hell am I supposed to talk to you? You kissed the guy, didn't you?
Oh, Tom, come on, that's old stuff. I mean, you're not upset about that anymore.
Who the hell says I'm not upset?
Well,
Are you trying to tell me I'm not upset?
No, you're not upset about that. I mean, when that happened, you went out and you got drunk and you got over it.
I didn't get over it, Mary. I didn't forget about the fact that you kissed him. I didn't forget about the fact that you used Dennis's name instead of mine in this very own bed. And I'm not forgetting about the fact that you and Foley were thick as thieves tonight.
Tom, are you developing a mess?
Look, Mary, I want to know what the hell's going on between you and Foley. What the hell is going on?
You're certainly not going to find anything out by shouting. We talked about the wedding, and we talked about Kathy. Foley is a friend of mine, and he's an acquaintance, and he means no more to me than Howard McCullough.
Howard McCullough? What about Howard McCullough?
Honey, you should listen to yourself. I mean, you should hear how suspicious you sound. I mean, Howard McCullough lives down the street. Howard McCullough is a neighbor. Howard McCullough happens to be a close friend of mine.
Right, now look, what the hell is going on here, huh? Now, what is it? All of a sudden you got all these men friends. What's going on?
Tom, in this life, you have to have companionship. And there's nothing wrong if your companion is a male. I mean, what's wrong if I have a male friend?
Look, Mary, look, come on. I mean, aren't I a good enough friend to you, huh? Are you trying to tell me that I'm not a good enough companion for you? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Huh?
Tom, the simple truth is that we're just never really together.
All right, I don't want to get into that. Okay.
No,
I don't wanna get into that.
no, I'm just talking. I'm talking about talking. I'm just talking about talking like friends. I'm talking about friends.
Look, I don't want to talk
Don't
about
you
that.
remember, Tom? We used to be on this bed together. We used to have these wonderful long talks.
I don't want to talk about that, did you?
Okay, what do you want to talk about? I'm sorry, maybe it's me. I'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. You want to talk about your job? Do you want to talk about the union? We can. I mean, I really want to know. Like, what did you say to the finance secretary?
Look, I don't want to talk about that, Mary. I cannot concentrate on anything now except you and Foley. What the hell's going on?
Well, I don't want to talk about that. I know about the shower or Foley or Kathy or the wedding or anything. Why don't we just talk about something light, okay? We'll just talk about like television or baseball.
You don't want to talk about Foley because you're thinking about him, right? You are thinking about him right now. Admit it, Mary. You are thinking about Foley right this very minute.
No. I am not thinking about Foley. I'm not thinking about anyone. I'm going to sleep. Good night, Howard.
Satan now behind me, forever I'll be free. The road to heaven for me has been paved. Well, such price was given, atoning blood redeemed. Well, the love of Jesus sought me, and now I'm saved. Well, I've changed my mind about God and sin. Well, I've changed my mind and let Jesus in. Now I'm rejoicing forever. Oh yes, I've changed my mind, and now I'm saved.
That was beautiful. I mean, that was really inspiring.
Well, I'm sure pleased you liked it, huh?
Liked it. If I was a heathen, I would be converted on the spot.
Well, it ain't nothing compared to what it sounds like, you know, with the full choir and everything. Oh, I just can't wait till they get all 101 of them lovely voices of the Fountain of Light Holy Choir that they's gonna have. It's just gonna be fabulous, really.
I just bet it is. But as far as I'm concerned, they could send the other 100 home and just let you sing yourself.
Oh, sweet thing. But you know something about it. I'm gonna go to rehearse tomorrow, you know. It's a mixed group, Charlie, which I think is lovely. They've got blacks, yellows, whites, even a red.
Communist?
Heck no, hon. It's American Indian. It's truly a spiritual experience.
Well, honey, I sure am glad you got all this inspiration going and everything. There's just one thing.
What, hon?
Honey, there's something that's been bothering me ever since we got back from Hollywood and your career took that little detour and all.
Oh, well, Charlie, what's bothering you, honey?
Honey, you seem to be losing your drive, like you plumb forgot what your destiny is, which is to be a country and western singing superstar. Now, sweetheart, all this sacred music, all these songs about Jesus, they're just fine, but I have not heard you sing one note of your own inspired songs, like Baby Boy, or The Ballad of a Legless Woman, or Riding the Train to Heaven, or Ten-Wheel Love. None of them. I haven't heard one note of my favorite, the one you wrote just before you went to Hollywood, Vitamin L.
Oh, did you really like Vitamin L? Think it's good?
Sweetheart, that is going to relaunch you to the top of the charts. Now listen, while you were over at Kathy's, at the shower and all, I spoke to Clyde on the phone, and we arranged for a telephone conference call with his brother in Detroit tomorrow. Now, I know what you're going to say, and even Clyde's brother is a little bit iffy about releasing a follow-up single just now, but if we can convince him to chance it, honey...
Charlie, I just can't do it.
Yes, you can. You can. I mean, you may have lost a little popularity, but you haven't lost any of your talent.
I know that, lover. I know I have that, but honey, I mean, I think I just would be tempted to fate, you know, if I tried to get back into the good graces of the American record collector, you know, before I'd really demonstrated enough humility to prove myself worthy of success.
You're worthy. You are worthy. There is nobody worthier of success than you are.
Well, when it's the proper time, Charlie. But right now, it's the proper time for me to sing in the choir and serve the World Missionary Center. You see, because it's just like little Reverend Jimmy Joe says. Hell, fire, and damnation shall await those who hunger after unworldly possessions, material things, you know. But those who seek the ways of God shall dwell in his house forever.
The Reverend Jimmy Joe Jeter said that.
My spiritual leader.
An 8-year-old kid.
Well, honey, he's not just a little kid. He's really just a little heavenly messenger. You know, kind of like that one I had in my dream the other night. Remember, you know, when I upstairs in my bedroom closet, the one I saw up there? Well, honey, he's just here to help serve God and the ways of the Lord and to help show me the way.
I don't know, honey. I just don't know. I mean, even if he is a heavenly messenger, I can't cop to a squeaky voice kid preaching at me.
Well, now, Charlie, honey, you know, maybe it could be that you're just a little upset because he's a little boy and you thought you was getting a little boy and it turned out you didn't have one.
I don't know what that's got to do with it.
Well, anyway, if that's what it is, I understand, honey. But I just wish you'd give little Reverend Jimmy Joe a chance, you know. If you'd just come and listen to one of his sermons, I mean, you'd really hear him put the fear of the Lord in all us sinners.
Honey, you ain't a sinner. Maybe that's what I can't buy. I mean, all that hellfire and damnation being called down upon you by a little tyke who can't see over the rump of a mule.
Now, Charlie Haggers, I don't want you going and showing disrespect for a little boy of God.
I am not disrespecting a little boy of God. I just wish you would think about resuming your career.
I will, Charlie, honey. I will. All in good time, but right now I've got to wait for a sign from the Lord.
Loretta,
Now, Charlie, honey, look, I know you don't want to discourage me from doing my work for the Lord, and when it's ready for me to resume my career, I'll get a sign.
well, I just hope you don't make you wait too long.
Well, honey, there may be a little bit of wait because there's all kinds of people in line, you know, waiting to get their signs. I mean, they've got Patty Hertz, and they've got Mr. Kissinger, got them two networks that was doing good, then they wasn't doing good, and then... Wait a minute.
What's going on? What's happening? What's the matter?
I feel it, Charlie. I feel a sign from the Lord coming right now.
You do?
Yeah, it's coming, Charlie. It is coming.
Well, what does it say?
It's saying, Loretta, now is the time to show that husband of yours just exactly how much you love him.
Dad, now that is the kind of sign that I like. That is my favorite kind of sign.
Daddy, you are just picking at your butter pecan crumb cake, which is your very favorite, and which I saved especially from the shower.
I'm just not up to it, Martha.
But you can't worry anymore about Dennis and Kathy after tonight. George, I just wish you had seen them when he picked her up. Oh, they look so adorable together.
I'm glad, Martha.
Oh, then what aren't you glad about? You have been sitting there with your face right down to the floor. Has it got something to do with Tom?
Why? What did he say about it? What? What did he say?
Then it does have something to do with Tom.
What did he say, Martha?
Well, George, I was putting out the onion then. You know, it's still the best, even though the blue cheese does seem to disappear just about as fast.
Martha, what did he say?
I'm trying to tell you. I wasn't paying too much attention, you know, but I do know that he was terribly upset. You know, after that meeting with the finance secretary, and especially seeing you there.
Yeah, well, he's damn lucky I was there.
Then why is he so angry, George? What is going on in that union?
The same thing has been going on for years, and it's not just the union, Martha.
Corruption?
Well, that's what your hothead son-in-law, that's his word for it.
Well, what is your word for it?
There are many words for it, Martha. Allegiance, cooperation, friendship, loyalty, greasing one's palm with the other.
You see, that last thing about the greasing thing, that's what I think is strange. That's what I don't like.
Martha, in this world, grease lubricates things. Power don't run on electricity. Real power runs on grease. So what makes the union any different?
Well, there are a lot of people who think it is wrong, and Tom happens to be one of them.
There is nothing wrong if people don't get hurt. Now, how can you compare a little unauthorized loan with the Arab oil company? corporations who pass out millions of dollars in bribes to the nips. Now Tom's all upset about when he's upset about his peanuts. I mean, so they juggle the union funds around a little bit. That's all right. Listen, I'm the chairman of the Finance Watchdog Committee.
You mean you just sit there and watch them juggle?
No, what I'm saying is that everything is going to be all right. The money is going to be replaced, and nobody's going to get hurt, except Tom if he doesn't get wise.
Oh, what's going to happen to him, George?
Well, he's going to end up on his keister if he's not careful.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, look who's here.
Oh.
You're home sooner than I thought. What a nice surprise.
Surprise is right.
Yeah, well, Dennis has to go to work.
It's nice to see you again, Mrs. Shumway. And good evening, Mr. Shumway.
You know, he does have a firm handshake.
Excuse me?
Just something I was talking to Mary about. Well, how are things, Sergeant?
Just fine, sir.
How about some upside-down applesauce cake? Or maybe some butter pecan crumb cake? I have plenty left over from the shower.
I don't think I could eat a berry.
Oh, did you hear that, George? I used to have a beau said that. Well, Daddy, maybe we'd better get along up to bed, huh?
Yeah. Well, good night, little bride-a-wee.
Good night, honey. Mwah.
Sergeant, I'm glad the marriage is still on.
Thank you.
Come on, Martha, let's go upstairs and count some sheep.
Good night.
Good night, Dennis.
Good night. And thank you for the shower, Mom. Oh, do you really have to go?
Yeah, I really do.
But it's still early.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's that darn undercover assignment.
Kathy, listen.
Look, you don't have to say any more. I know that's what it is. Boy, I can't wait until Thursday's over.
Give or take a few hours.
Well, I'll give you that much, but no more.
It's a deal.
Mwah. You know what that was? That was a 4.
What?
That kiss, it was a 4. On a scale of 10, that was definitely a 4. Either your head is into that undercover assignment, or you need some kissing lessons.
I am just distracted.
Oh. Now that's a 74. On a scale of 10, that is definitely a 74. How did you like it?
Good night.
Lots of little moves forward. Of course, we got a bit of a recap of the end of the party from yesterday, and then right into an argument with Tom and Mary, which for me really hurts a lot. Like I want them to fix things. I want them to be able to have a healthy relationship, and they just can't. I don't know that they see exactly how they are not working together. And I know that they have feelings for each other. I think Tom is recognizing that there is some connection between Mary and Dennis. Of course, at this point, Mary is pushing as far, she's pushing Dennis as far away as he can go. Of course, he doesn't go because he's Dennis. And of course, Mary is pushing on what's going on with the union, and that's a stressful part of Tom's life. And maybe he doesn't want to talk about George being there. I kind of wish he would, because, it's important for him, but also that's not the real focus of what's going on there. And of course, Mary calls Tom Howard's name. As we had mentioned, there has been a little bit of attraction, I think, flowing between the two of them. Then we get to Loretta and Charlie, and not a ton of movement forward there either. Basically, Loretta is looking to her new sort of godly career, and Charlie maybe just a little bit less comfortable with that than Loretta. I I can see it from both perspectives because Loretta has some feelings that haven't been resolved about the failure of her career. And Charlie sees that, I think, and wants to encourage her to get back on the horse, as the saying goes. And Loretta isn't interested in that. I see both sides of that. On the other hand, I do think that uh, I personally think that she is happier there, but she is using this as a way of escaping. She's using the church as a way of escaping from things that she cares about. That is maybe colored with my own personal feelings about evangelist churches, but that's where I sit right now. And then we get to the Shumways and kind of seeing their perspective on things. Uh, Definitely George sort of being the status quo at the factory, as far as, he's basically diametrically opposed to how Tom thinks of the union misappropriation of funds. And boy, I can't disagree with George more. And then we get Kathy and Dennis. I really, I can understand that people like Dennis. I wish that I had less doubt in my mind about how awful Dennis is. I don't. I just think he's an awful human being. And maybe I don't even want to think of him as a human being. I definitely think of him as a villain. Uh, but, well, everyone's happy to have him in the family. And then there's the actual relationship between Kathy and Dennis, which I think Kathy feels like exactly how much he is not invested. His kiss is a 4 instead of a 10. Then they have a better makeout. All of a sudden, it's 74. Well, we will see. That was our Tuesday night episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. We are, you know, getting into it. We're almost, I don't know how long the first season ran, but I feel like it's in the 100 plus range, and we're not too far away from that. So we will see. Let's do this again tomorrow, everyone. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for taking this time travel trip. And we will see you tomorrow night.